Welcome to my studio tour, which is pretty much just an entire apartment tour because I have managed to fill every nook and cranny with work-related things in this apartment to maximize the lack of work-life balance that I have come to accept doesn't exist. If you're new, I'm Cassandra Lynn, artist and owner of Oakleaf Arrow Studios, where I specialize in fantasy maps. I'm very excited to show you around my apartment/studio for hopefully you can gather some inspiration, or if you're here to just enjoy the vibes, I hope you enjoy the vibes. I have but 580 square feet to work with, so I really had to maximize efficiency, but on the same token, I really tried to maximize coziness because both are essential to my productivity, especially as a creative. I do so much work here, from drawing, prepping for conventions, packing, and product production, on top of all of the hours spent filming and editing content for social media. But we love a multi-purpose space, so come with me and I will give you a tour. I'm gonna do my best to show you everything, but please remember, it's just me and my tripod, so I will do my best. Anyways, this top box here just has all sorts of things that I use for like product photography, which is my least favorite part of running a business. I really need to like find someone and pay them money. I hate product photography that much. Pretty much just like knickknacks, fake foliage, flowers, things like that, as well as extra copy prints of maps that I've created for commissions. If they ordered a print, typically my print manufacturer would print me more than one, which was very kind of them, but it just means that I have a whole bunch of miscellaneous prints here. This is also, up top is where I keep my stamps. I just have all of them stacked there, which is very professional and very put together. And then we have my industrial tape dispenser. I love this thing. I use it every single time I pack an order, so very important that I have that. And then moving down, this is pretty much like the core of my packing station. I pack orders here at this table, which I will show you shortly. I've used this old PC. Oh my gosh, guys, this was my first ever PC. I got it when I was 13. I am 24 now. She's old, okay? She's old, she's slow, but she gets the job done, and it means that I don't have to keep my personal laptop or my computer plugged in here. I can just use this old laptop to have it connected to my Rollo printer here, which spits out all my labels. But up top, we have all of my 5x7 prints, and I just have them sorted like this. I think there's probably a better way to do it, but I don't have a ton of 5x7 prints, so this has been working for me, and it's actually expanded. It used to just be this, but now we have an extra bucket, so, you know, look at me making progress. And this is where I keep Sharpies, a pencil, my stamp, which is actually really fun. So this little, it stamps. I don't know why I was going to describe a stamp to you, but it's a stamp. And then I have a couple of business cards back here as well. I did tidy up my studio, but I also left it as realistic as possible because I think that all of these shops that have like super aesthetic shelves on like every single row, I'm like, surely you're lying. Where is your miscellaneous crap that you just shove on the shelf? And then that becomes its home. And then your muscle memory is like, yeah, this is where we have to keep the Sharpies down because where else would I put them? And then moving down the shelf, we have all of my envelopes for any untracked letter mail. I don't get a lot of untracked letter mail these days because primarily people are buying my 11x14 or 11x17 prints, and those need obviously to be tracked, but that's where I keep all of these here, as well as international invoice slips that I have just there, which is where, you know, where else would it go except for in between all of my envelopes, as well as my plastic sleeves. I have them falling in between everything where I can just easily grab them out, as well as my thank you cards, and then my freebie stickers in front of my thank you cards. And for once, that arrangement sort of makes sense. I think it's like the thing that makes the most amount of sense. It's my freebies next to my thank you cards. So, and then moving down another shelf, this is pretty much all of my 11x14 and 11x17 map prints. This is how I keep them organized. They are just in their original plastic. I just slice them down the side. That way I can easily draw out whatever maps I need to pack for people. These ones are my 11x17s. I actually had to take out the backing on this shelf to have these slide all the way back to the wall. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to do because the more that I expand my shop, the less space I tend to have, but it's so convenient to have all of my maps right here when I'm packing. Down at the very, very bottom is pretty much my rigid mailers and my plastic sleeves foresaid mailers as well. They're just on top of one another, which is like not the best thing, but it is once again like a space issue where this system works. It's not the most efficient, but it gets the job done in my trash can as well, which is clearly worth pointing out. Like I mentioned, this surface area is where the magic happens, but it's not actually a table. It is an old dresser. This was abandoned in my first house that I had moved into. The previous tenants had left it, and the previous tenants left. I don't know whose it was, but basically I was like, you're coming with me because you were a little too convenient for all of my shot stuff. It's broken, it's damaged, she is aged, and she is old. I actually one of these days want to paint like a map or something anime related on the fronts of the drawers. I think that would be a really fun project. I just have to find the time for it, which I haven't found the time for, and maybe like replace the handles with something cooler. This is good. You know, it's old, but like I can easily give it a little bit of a revamp. The time just has not come for that. This top drawer contains my tape and some label paper, some paper, and some chipboard. This is all chipboard that just came with orders, and I keep it because I will use it occasionally in orders that I ship out that I need some chipboard for, like smaller ones. So it's nice to be able to just like chop that up and not have to buy it myself. In this center drawer, this is again like a miscellaneous drawer. It's got a lot of little things. I've got like my card reader for in-person sales, some sticky adhesive, extra Sharpies, extra twine as well, and then paper samples. Again, lots of just miscellaneous stuff that ends up in spots, and then there's probably spots that make more sense to put it in, but my brain knows it's here, so why would I change the system? And then this drawer has an overstock of envelopes and small rigid mailers, as well as caps for my tubes, which I would love to get rid of my tubes. They're actually hidden in this corner right here. I did a very limited amount of like fully assembled How to Train Your Dragon maps, and they had to be rolled and shipped into tube, which meant I had to buy tubes. Those suckers take up so much space. It's not even funny, you guys. That is something they don't tell you, is that packaging material, oh my gosh, is gonna fill your entire apartment. It's everywhere, it's never ending. Tape, lots of tape. I buy this stuff in bulk, okay, because I use it all the time. And it's also really helpful for like when I move. Guess what? I don't have to buy tape. I've got so much tape in here. And then I have just overstock of 5x7 prints. Because my dumbass, when I first was starting my business, was like, look at all this savings. If I buy 500 prints, I can have these be like worth pennies. And yet now here I am like 5 years later wanting to retire old artwork, and instead I have 500 prints that I decided 5 years ago would be a brilliant idea to order. So don't do that, folks. It also takes up so much space. Guess what's in this one too? More overstock. And more overstock. Guys, learn from my mistakes. Do not do that, okay? Sorry, that was terrible. And then in here, we just have boxes and artwork that I haven't hung up on my wall. So actually, it's not really worth showing you a close-up of that one. Just trust me, that one's just personal junk. You know, you gotta have your junk drawer somewhere, and mine just happens to be within all my business stuff, but I don't open these drawers often. This center drawer is the only one I open the most often. It's just really, really convenient to have all of it out of the way and out of sight, out of mind. But when I need it in mind, I know where it's at. It's not going anywhere. But like I said, these drawers are a little, they don't close very well. But you know what? Once again, maybe not the most aesthetic, but it's efficient when it comes to using space and keeping all this junk out of my sight. There's actually some really fun artwork on my wall. As you can see, it's all very like map centric because, you know, fantasy cartographer. I've got my brand, okay, and I'm sticking to it. All the maps in frames are ones that I have drawn, other than the lands of Lablock, which is actually my first ever collab map with one of my favorite map artists, which is still so cool that Timothy agreed to do that with me. So super fun. And then this one as well, I did draw. Everything else is like things I've bought from different countries. This drawing here actually is found on a magic card, and if I can find that magic card, oh, I will be having that on the wall as well. But honestly, I love the big print, so can't complain about that. This certain pen here, very important to the Oakleaf Arrow Studios lore. It's sepia, it's not black. My very first time ever bulk ordering pens, I accidentally bulk ordered sepia. Didn't realize, because I draw primarily with a light board doing my line work, it's the sepia of shame. It's the one pen that I actually like opened the package for before realizing my mistake. So yep, it's the Sepia of Shame pinned on my wall. We also have like my little letterboard that has my business signs, some trinkets, some map pots that I've made in pottery, as well as just some other cool art on my wall as well. And then we have my giant whiteboard, which honestly, shout out to my friend Julianne, because I saw her purchase like a giant whiteboard, and it's been a game changer for planning and dumping my thoughts and just having a big visual. So nice. And it's a whiteboard, so I can easily erase and move things around when I'm behind schedule, which tends to be all the time, so it's really nice. And I just keep it leaning here. When I actually actively am planning like a big planning session, I will actually put it in my room, leaned up against my bed, and just like go to town. Moving over, we have my printer, which I do not recommend HP to anybody, because if you have to pay a subscription to use your printer, this is basically better off as a paperweight. So I use this primarily for my bookmarks, which is the only reason I haven't given it up. And then I use it because I do journaling and stuff, so I like having a printer to print out. But guys, I'm debating upgrading to the Epson Eco Tank. I want it so bad. I'm gonna wait till Black Friday. But if you guys have it, let me know if it's worth it, because I want it so bad. But this sucker also has a scanner. This is the size of my scanner bed, so yes, I scan things 4 times and stitch it together in Photoshop, which is fantastic for my sanity. Expo markers for planning on said whiteboard, and then the rest of the shelf is future business stuff. I want to make book sleeves, so I have all the material for that, but it hasn't happened, so it just lives on this shelf. You would think this is the last bit of shop stuff, but actually I have another shelf straight across from me, which I'll actually just show via B-roll. It's just specifically for my How to Train Your Dragon map because it takes up so much space. So there's that for you, but this one, miscellaneous junk on top. This lamp up top is the singular light source for this entire room when it's dark, because I don't have a ceiling light in here, because whoever designed this apartment is in fact certifiably an idiot. We also have all of my stickers on this shelf here, as well as all my bookmarks. These really nifty trays that perfectly fit my bookmarks specifically were designed by my father and 3D printed. Shout out to him for making my life so much better and more efficient. He also cut me all of these planks of wood because I realized after buying these really cute bamboo shelves, they didn't have enough storage space for what I needed, so I had to kind of modify them to make them work for me. And honestly, this works fantastic. We have the bookmarks, we have the packing sleeves, and then as we move down, less exciting things, cardboard, and then overstock, as well as my tote bags and packaging. So really, really exciting things, if we're being honest. But the more exciting thing is the other room, which is where I actually do most of my work and spend most of my time. This entire room, which is insane because like, it is my living room, you guys. Like, this is where I watch my TV. Like, this is it. It is where I spend the least amount of my time, but all of this takes up the most amount of space. I'm not a painter or someone who needs like a big canvas or like a big amount of room to draw. Literally, I just need one desk and my pens, and I am a happy camper. So I could be, you know, in a tiny little square drawing to my heart's content. But this is the side of like running a business on top of being an artist that maybe people don't fully understand, is like all of this takes up space. And it's really cool to have a studio. I used to just run it straight out of my bedroom, which was insane behavior, quite frankly. I can't ever imagine downsizing to a single room, but I will say it's annoying to not have like a pretty decorated living room where I can have friends over and such, because it's pretty much my warehouse slash packing area. So it's unfortunate, but again, I'm really grateful that I even have this space to run this in 2 separate areas of my apartment, albeit it's also my entire apartment. But let's go ahead and move into the next room over. As we enter the second room, this is actually where I do primarily all of my drawing at this desk here, and then all of my editing and computer work is done at my computer desk, which is right here. And those are the main 2 areas of working space, because then on this side I have my bed, and on this side I have my bookshelf. So the 2 desks are mainly the workspace, so I'll go ahead and just give you a closer look. Starting with my drawing desk, this is where I do literally all of my drawing, especially all of my paper ink work. Some of my digital drawing I'll do in my bed because sometimes I do just want to draw in bed, but when it comes to ink work, this is the location of the magic. I don't always have this little like camera arm up here, but it's really useful for recording some of the shots and banging my head on it when I'm recording said shots, as well as a lamp here. But I have good natural lighting, which is always nice, and I do have this smushed up against the wall to reduce the amount of shakiness that most cheap desks tend to have, which is exactly what this is, just like a cheap secondary desk. These are the cups of shame where I keep all of my used Pigma microns. Pretty much if the tip is bent or the ink doesn't flow very nicely and I can't get the tiny little details I need, they go in the bins of shame and I'll use them for journaling. And then right here is just a cup that I made in pottery, and it stores all of my various rulers. And then leaning against this wall here is actually a yardstick because I draw 12 by 18 now, and I don't have a ruler that's 18 inches, so we have my handy dandy yardstick. Also, these pens and my wrist brace and my like drawing sleeve are all pretty much permanent fixtures on the desk. I tidied up my room, but this is realistic. I always have a couple pens that I'm actively using, and then my art sleeve and my wrist brace just in case my wrist is hurting. And that is pretty much this half of the desk. Sure, it's not the most aesthetic, but it's functional and it works for me. Moving from the desk down to the side of the desk here, we have my sketchbooks and my paper, as well as all of my finished works are in here. I have my 11 by 14s from this year, my 11 by 14s from the past 3 years, I think, and then my 12 by 18s are in this one. And then we have a Canson sketchbook, which I never really used because it has really stark white pages and I wasn't a huge fan. A little bucket down at the bottom, my circle tool, and then my paper, like I said, is in here. Couple of whips and another sketchbook. I just tear out Strathmore mixed media paper for my 11 by 14s. For my 12 by 18s, I literally just chopped up this 22 by 30 inch Bristol Strathmore paper into 12 by 18s, and that's been working for me. Over on the side here is this cart full of a lot of like journal things and miscellaneous stuff that doesn't really matter, but these two drawers are relevant. This section of the drawer is relevant. I have a washi tape problem, it's fine. This pretty much makes up all of my extra pens, so if I am drawing and I need an 003 because my current one decided to break its tip, which happens so often, and the ink doesn't flow out nicely, they're all in here. I order these in bulk from Blick to get a nice discount because I do love my Pigma Micron pens. And then above here, we have another drawer of just a smaller sketchbook, which has a few sketches on it. No, okay, it has 1 page worth of sketches, more pens, and just some paper and miscellaneous sized pens as well. So sure, not the most exciting thing, but these 2 drawers are like work related stuff. The rest are just like miscellaneous journal and other stuff that's not really relevant. My table here is where I typically keep my laptop and my iPad. I like putting everything back in like the exact same spot every single time, for I know where it belongs. This is a recent purchase from Japan. It was a pencil pouch, but it just doesn't work out very well. It's just not big enough for all the pens I like to carry around. I keep my iPhone here, which is like my work phone, and that pretty much is the extent of this particular workstation. There's actually one more really important and relevant tool that I use while drawing. This Bulbasaur plushie, and like, I'm not even joking, guys. This is actually one of the most important things, and I cannot draw without it. When I draw, I set it in my lap, and I lean on the bulb in order to not have like the sharpness of this desk like digging into my chest, because I literally, when I'm drawing, guys, I draw like this. Don't believe me? Here is real footage of me drawing at 3 a.m. All of us artists shrimp, okay? It's just a reality. So this plushie is actually really nice, and it was a total like accidental find. I literally just needed something to like not have the desk in my chest as I'm drawing. So it worked out perfectly that I can sit comfortably in my lap, and then I just lean on it very, very nicely. So Bulbasaur to the rescue, and I usually just keep him on the floor. So once again, maybe not the most aesthetic situation, but definitely the most functional and necessary. And then, here's another fun fact for you. I only have the 1 desk chair. So I have to drag this pitch perfect style to the other side of my room in order to edit or do anything on my computer. For the computer desk itself, this is just a computer desk that I bought from IKEA a few years back. Again, it's not my favorite, but I like the fact that I can have like my pens here, my stickers, and my washi tape, so I have like little cubbies as well as this like top piece. This is not included. I bought this in order to raise my computer up, for I could slide my keyboard underneath while I do things at my computer. I used to draw here before I got my second desk, but obviously 12 by 18 would not fit here, so we've moved on from that. Not the most aesthetic setup, but you know what? I used to have like a cute little like pink keyboard that broke, and then I just got the cheapest keyboard I could, so there we are. I do keep my Wacom drawing tablet here tied in with the pen because I'm so scared of the day that I lose this pen. I don't use this for drawing. I used to draw on Photoshop, but I switched to drawing on Procreate on my iPad. However, I keep this for digitally touching up any of the maps that I scan into my computer to clean up any dust that might have been scanned and stitch together my pieces. This is where I keep my SD cards, and I'll often toss my used SD cards in this little bowl here. I don't know, just a little like leaf bowl that I picked up, I think from the Netherlands, if I'm being honest, from like a gift shop. A couple of notebooks. I have notebooks literally everywhere. I have like this notebook here. I have this notebook here. I have sticky notes everywhere. Like I constantly am writing down my ideas. So the more surfaces I have to write down said ideas, the better for me to keep my thoughts more organized. As for computer and specs, I don't know, you guys. I built my computer, and by I built my computer, I mean I bought all the parts and I made my brother put it together, but then my brother actually told me which parts to buy, and then I also made him put it together. So my brother actually built my PC for me, and the only thing I've personally done on it is upgrade the storage, because I am flying through terabytes like they're cheap, and they are not. They are not cheap. Fuck AI and fuck data centers for increasing the price of storage. I hate it. Anyways, this is an Acer monitor. I don't know if this is a good monitor. I've just had it forever and it's been my monitor. So do with that information what you will. If I did more color work on my computer, I probably would look into getting something that would match what I draw on, which is my iPad better. But I don't, so that's what I have. 'Tis the life of a traditional artist. I don't really do color often. And I think that just about wraps up all of the work-related things that are in this room. I hope that you enjoyed my studio tour and gave you an insight as to like the conditions I work under, I suppose. I know it's maybe not like the most aesthetic-y, YouTuber-y space that you've ever seen, but it's really important that I maximize coziness, sure, but with efficiency as well to maximize my productivity and my space. So maybe it's not the prettiest, but it gets the job done and it lets me be creative. And at the end of the day, that is the most important part to me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I do hope to see you in my next one. Bye guys!